Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Starkville police believe they have the man responsible for a brutal murder and assault that happened nearly 30 years ago. Police confirming today that 51-year-old Michael W. Devon of Rienzi is charged with capital murder and sexual battery. His bond, $10 million for the murder charge and an additional $1 million for the sexual battery. Now, this is Devon Saturday evening as Starkville detectives escorted him from a police vehicle to the police station where he was booked on the charges. Investigators traveled to Tishomingo County where Devon was in jail on unrelated drug charges. In a midday news conference, Sergeant Bill Lott said the arrest is the result of a positive DNA match. Now, Devon is making his first appearance right now in front of a Starkville Municipal Court judge. This is the end of a long day for investigators and for the families. Our Jory Talley joins us live in Starkville with more. Jory.
It's been an emotional day for Starkville lead detective Sergeant Bill Lott. For him, the 1990 Labor Day cold case has been about science, DNA, and endless hours of work over the years. It's also about justice for the victims.
It's been a long journey.
So it's understandable if this detective needed to take a minute.
Today is Betty's birthday.
Betty Jones was 65 years old when she was killed.
It's really special that it happened to fall on her birthday that we do this. We're able to announce the arrest for her birthday. Yeah.
Sergeant Bill Lott says he sees Betty Jones and Catherine Krigler as more than just victims. He sees his own family in the two ladies.
I was raised by my sister and my aunts, and I've always had strong women. And the more I read this case, amazing person Betty Jones was, and Catherine taught school for 30-something years. My Aunt Hilda taught 30-something years. To me, it started to get too really close.
Saturday, he sat across from the suspect for the first time.
I just told the other detective, I said, you do the talking, I just want to look at him for a little bit. Because, it was emotional for me, and I just needed to center myself, because it's been a long journey.
Lott says he can confirm 51-year-old Michael Devon has been in the North Mississippi area since the crime happened back on Labor Day of 1990. He has less to say about motive or even how Devon arrived in town.
Starkville is a college town. It's a transient town. A lot of people come here to live for a while and then they leave. And then a lot of people come here to see a football game or they come here for a party. When I was in high school, I came to Starkville for parties, and it could have been very well, some situations like that. So, those, like you said, the list of possibilities are endless.
It is now time for the investigators to hand the case off to the prosecutors, and that's where we stand tonight. Currently, right now behind me, inside of the Starkville Municipal Court, Michael Devon is making his first court appearance in front of a judge. We're going to have the very latest coming up at 9 and 10 on WCBI News. But for now, reporting live here in Starkville, Jory Talley, WCBI News.
All right, Jory, thanks a lot. This is a story that WCBI has been following since the very beginning. More recently, our reporters have tracked the investigation as the technology began to catch up with the evidence. 4 years ago, our Summer Rascal took a look at the case, actually doing a walkthrough of the house there in Starkville. Sergeant Lott said Mrs. Krigler had been sitting in her wheelchair. Betty Jones was getting her ready for bed. Mrs. Jones answered a knock at the door, rather. At first, reports say Mrs. Krigler thought her friend knew the person at the door.
And then she hears Betty screaming and hollers out to her. And then next thing Miss Krigler knows, here comes the guy into the room. And here he is.
So this would have been at the time the bedroom that was set up, and where we think the assault happened.
But Mrs. Krigler was able to make it in the kitchen by dragging herself there. She pulled the phone off the wall and she called for help. She was also able to give police a statement. DNA and evidence was collected that night and in the following days. Well, the families of the victims have always kept the faith, hoping for an arrest. Ann McWhorter is Betty Jones' sister. This conversation is also from 4 years ago, and while she can't forget the loss, she remembers her sister as a baseball fan, an active community member, and having a life well lived.
Before she died, we were standing on the steps of the Presbyterian church, and I sang in the choir, and she sat out in the congregation, and we met out front, and we looked at each other, gave each other hugs, says, "I love you, Betty." She says, "I love you, Ann." And those are the last words that I heard from Betty.
Well, of course, a lot has changed in 28 years, but as our Riley Livingston found out today, the commitment to close this case has never wavered. Riley is joining us now live from Starkville with that part of the story.
Andrea, the names and faces are different from those who took on this case nearly 3 decades ago. And while the baton has been passed on, the drive to solve this case has held strong.
No crime remains unsolved.
For family and friends, this could be the closure they have wanted for so long. Police Chief Frank Nichols says the years of hard work have paid off.
We've gone through a lot of peaks and valleys in this case.
District Attorney Scott Colom's office will head the prosecution team.
Yeah, I think it's a strong signal to the public and to people that commit crimes that we'll never give up in the pursuit of justice, and you can never rest assured that you're going to get away with it.
Mayor Lynn Spruill says the continued efforts from the police department is what led to an arrest.
Well, I think it's remarkable. It just proves the dedication of our police department and our officers who worked the case from the beginning to now, and it's an extremely long resolution. This is testament to that. And whether it's an old case, a cold case, or it's a current case, they work it to the very best of their ability using all the resources that we can.
Technology continues to expand and grow, helping police investigations.
We have things now that we could never have had back in 1990. And so now that we have these things available to us, we're using them. So we're doing all of the things that we should be doing as we progress to keep Starkville a safe community.
Bringing a close to a case that has haunted residents for years.
I would say that this is the biggest cold case that we've had to work here in Starkville. You know, there are other cases out there, cold cases, but you know, this one kind of jerked at the heartstring of the people here in this community because of who these young ladies were. So it was definitely, you know, big case, great day, historic day.
This is still an ongoing investigation. Police say if you have any information, please contact the Starkville Police Department. Reporting live in Starkville, Riley Livingston, WCBI News.
All right, Riley, thanks so much for your report.